me do some house cleaning. Thank you guys again joining. Please do me a favor, consider becoming a patron. I have like crazy ideas right now, and I'm getting ready to take the craziest idea and kind of bottle it up and do some new things with it. So I need your help. Consider being a patron. $2. That's all it is. $2 a month. Lowest $2 a month. Please consider being a patron. It helps me. And for those who have been a patron, those who are, have continued to support me and this work and all those different things, I really appreciate it. But those who would like to, please consider being a patron. I really appreciate it. All right, guys. Let's talk about this. All right. Let's just, let's have a heart to heart, right? Let's have a heart to heart conversation about some things. And I know it's late, so I'm gonna try to take it. I'm not gonna rush through some stuff. Some stuff I may rush through. Some stuff I just can't. And the reason I can't is because I want to make sure I give great context to it. So if you can't hold on, if you got to go to bed and all those different things, then catch us on the rerun. But it's really important. It's really important. I want to really take my time with this because I really feel like this is worth it. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I am originally not from Tulsa. And if you've known some stuff about me, one of the reasons why I came to Tulsa was the history that Tulsa had. And what history are you talking about? We're talking about a history called the Race Massacre, Tulsa Race Massacre. A lot of you guys probably don't even know about the Race Massacre. And the reason I'm saying that is because no shade. I ain't trying to throw no shade on anyone, because I believe that we all learn different ways. We all learn. So we're learning, right? So a lot of you guys don't know about the Race Massacre. And I am not here to teach you tonight about the Race Massacre. You're smart, you're intelligent enough, you can go do your own research. But what I am here to do is to remind you and to educate you just a little bit, to let you know that you do need to know about the Race Massacre. Not because you may live in Oklahoma, but because it is one of the atrocities that happened in this country. It's a history. And to this day, there has been no recompense, no compensation, no financial compensation, no recompense, no nothing. Yeah, there was an apology, but that does not repair the damages that has been laid out from decades and decades and decades. So why am I talking about the authenticity of the Race Massacre? Is because a lot of people all over the country are starting to know about Tulsa Race Massacre that happened in 1921. As we approach the 100-year anniversary, people are learning about, what's up, Mo? People are learning about the Race Massacre. I learned about it not even living here. And there are people all over the country who are learning about the Race Massacre. But what's so interesting is that there are a lot of people who live in the state of Oklahoma and in Tulsa who don't know about what happened to their beloved city back in 1921. Believe it or not, whether they care to know or whether they are interested to know, they just don't know, or they give 0 F's about it. But it's important for you to know. Some of you guys I have had conversations with offline, and I'm not going to call any names, but some of you guys have let me know they did not teach this to you in your grade school, wherever school you went to. And a lot of you guys who are watching, you went to Oklahoma schools. They did not teach this curriculum in itself. And so you don't know. So how do you hide information? You don't put it in the history books. You don't put it in the textbooks. You sanitize it. You make it seem like it wasn't that bad. And we are dealing with this constantly. We're dealing with this to learn about the history. We're dealing with this to try to figure out how is this history going to be told? Who is going to tell the history? I've always said is the one who writes the history is the one who changes a person's mind. If you don't believe me, a lot of racism was perpetrated in grade school. It was told that America was the best country in the world. That was BS. It was told that you must achieve the American dream. That stuff was ingrained inside our heads, that you must achieve the American dream. And a lot of us to this day, we're out here trying to go out here, work, suffer, and go through, not enjoying life, but we're trying to achieve this thing we call the American dream. For what? Okay, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, we're talking about the race massacre and it being taught to our children. And what we have right now is we have finally, through the works of, I'm not going to call any names, but through the works of leaders within the city of Tulsa, we now have the Race Massacre 1921 Race Massacre Commission to roll out a statewide curriculum for children, for teachers. That's right. You must educate the educators first because the educators will educate the children. So you have to educate the educators so that the educators can educate the children. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, a long time overdue. And you guys may think this is not significant or anything of that nature, but let me tell you, this is completely significant, especially when we're talking about history, because if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. So let's read some context in here. Let me just put it on screen, big screen here. It says big changes. Let me highlight this. It says big changes are being made this fall statewide when educators will have the opportunity to learn how to teach one of the most significant events to happen in Tulsa history. The 1921 Race Massacre left its scar on Greenwood district. Historians believe up to 300 people were killed and a thriving black community was destroyed. Remarkably, the chaos of that event was mostly swept under the rug for decades. Many still today have no knowledge of it. However, all of that is expected to change this fall when schools add the massacre to their curriculum statewide. This is amazing. It says currently Tulsa Public School teachers are the only educators who have undergone training to bring this history of the 1921 Race Massacre into their classrooms. But now members of the Race Massacre Commission are working to open a workshop for teachers all across Oklahoma. North Tulsa Greenwood District was a thriving district in the early 1920s. African American lawyers, doctors, small businesses prospered. The area was referred as Black Wall Street, and life was good. I love what they said. They said life was good. Life was, past tense, was good. Life was good. Yep. Life was good. Let me not let that hang in. Let me go and read a little bit more, and that way you can hear it. It says Oklahoma. This is Hannibal Johnson. A lot of you guys know Hannibal. Hannibal's a real good attorney, and he's a great historian. Hannibal says Oklahoma was seen as a paradise for African Americans to escape the Deep South to come to Oklahoma, and which became a state in 1907. Racial tensions were bubbling all throughout the U.S. and were about to boil over in Greenwood. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to read any further. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now have a curriculum. We have a curriculum. Do you understand how powerful this is going to be for our young minds to understand how powerful there is to learn something about their history? Hats off to the Race Massacre Commission for trying to open this up to the teachers, trying to open this up, and it looks as if that only Tulsa Public School teachers have undergird some of that education. We want to make sure that everyone all over the state understands this. But yes, it's fitting for people who live in the city of Tulsa to understand that they must learn what has happened in their own city. So this is all good. I love this. I love the education behind this. I love the fact that history needs to be told, and I hope it's told the right way. And I trust that the Race Massacre Commission has professionals that and educators that will teach these types of workshops, and that people will get the unadulterated truth, not just a sanitized version of the truth. And I think that is amazing. And for those who live in Tulsa, if you don't live in Tulsa, do yourself a favor, go to Greenwood, support these businesses. There are some businesses that are still open today. Go down to the Greenwood Culture Center. They have an area there that they have more of a little historian area where you can get some artifacts on there. You can see some things. You can view things that you have not viewed before. I think this is amazing, ladies and gentlemen. Anytime we have an opportunity to have life and to have teachings, to have education, to have all those different things, anytime we have this opportunity, let's grab hold to it. Definitely. I know that, we're going to definitely love this. All right. Hope you guys are grabbing hold to this, because it is truly, truly, truly important, especially when we're talking about our young minds, especially when we're talking about our children, especially when we're talking about our educators. And I am so grateful that certain educators have been able to sit back and say to themselves, I don't know enough. I need to be educated. I need to be trained. I don't know enough, and I'm not going to profess and act as if I know this and I know that. So hats off to these educators that are saying to themselves, my education of this situation is very limited. But however, what I do know is that we deserve to know more in reference to what has happened to these people in reference to Greenwood. So hats off to the 1921 Race Massacre Commission for doing something of this nature. I think it's phenomenal. All right, guys, let me go into another story. Very sad story. Let's go all the way to Denver. We have another shooting, and I'm going to bring this into a correlation to a comment that has happened, but I want to build the foundation of this. All right, let me play this video here so you guys can see this video here in reference to the school shooting that occurred today. In Denver. Yes, we've had yet another school shooting. Yes, in Denver. So let me play this video, and then once I play it, we can come back and we can talk about it. All right, let me play this video. Here we go. Turn this up. Boom. There we go.
I don't know exactly the circumstances. There did seem to be some struggle going on when they got there with someone from the school. We don't know if that's students or security or officers. But I do know there were a number of shots fired as officers were arriving at the school. They could still hear gunshots, and as they were entering the school. We know this is a very worrisome situation for parents. We understand they're all worried about their children. Relatives are worried, and we're trying to get them back together as soon as possible. It could be very confusing over there, because we want to make sure we note every student that is leaving and who they're leaving with, so that can be very complicated. And also to find out if any students know anything, if they saw anything, if they're a witness to this. So that is going to take some time, so parents, please be patient as you're going over there working with the reunification team.
Yet another school shooting that occurred today. I am a proponent about why do children need guns? I don't know. The access. The students that were all injured. One person was dead. They have two people in custody. The people who were shot or injured all range from 18 on up. These are kids. These are teachers. These are just kids, and we shouldn't have to go through this. This is just sad, and it's a travesty. We should not have to go through this. But that leads me to my next story here. I saw this story over the weekend and a couple of days ago, and I wanted to talk about this 8th grade phenomenal young man. This 8th grade here's the headlines here, and this is out of St. Louis, not that far away from Tulsa. 8th grade football phenom recently featured in Sports Illustrated, shot to death in Venice. Venice is right outside of St. Louis. His name is Jalen McKenzie. Jalen was featured in, let me just put it right here. Jalen was featured in in Sports Illustrated as a prospect to be in the NFL. He's already committed. He had already had a verbal committing to go to one of the colleges already. He was 14 years old. That's right, 14 years old. Jalen went to a party with the young lady, and then there was an after party. It was a girl he was with. A 15-year-old girl also was critically injured, but unfortunately, Jalen life was taken. 14 years. Why am I talking about this? I am talking about the advent of gun violence, right? Gun violence on one spectrum, we've seen it happen on spectrum of when citizens and gun violence, but there's another perspective dealing with the police officers, just gun violence. We need to have gun control. Officers should not have to go to their gun for so quick. We should not have to have people who live and sleep and dream about salivating over a gun. It's just ridiculous how much in this country we will put our Christian faith, or I will put our faith, period, over a gun, or to measure the faith on the same level as a firearm. I think it's ridiculous. That's my personal opinion. So we're talking about gun violence. Even tonight in Tulsa, there was another homicide over a domestic issue, and that person is now dead. Gun violence. So why am I talking about this gun violence? Simply because of this. The NRA president. There's an NRA president. It's a new NRA president who is coming under fire for some of the words that she said. Okay. The NRA president went after Lucy Macbeth. Let me bring up Lucy Macbeth so you guys know who Lucy Macbeth is. Lucy Macbeth, here she is right here. She's a new congresswoman from Georgia. She is a new congresswoman from Georgia. She became a congresswoman not because of the color of her skin, not because she felt the need to, have money in her pocket and wanted to be a superstar. She became a politician because her son, Jordan, I think it's Jordan Edwards, make sure. Yeah, her son, Jordan Davis, in 2012 was gunned down. You guys remember this case where a guy, because they was playing loud music, her son was gunned down by this guy. So Lucy turns around and says, I need to run for office. I need to do something constructive. I need to go out here and make a difference. So she becomes a representative. She becomes a representative of this great state of Georgia. However, the NRA president now, they have a new president, and she's out of Cobb County, and she's coming under fire because this is what she said. She basically said that this is what the NRA president basically said, is that she felt as if that Lucy only got her position was because the Democrats were more focused on more focused on getting minorities in office. So in other words, basically she's saying she only got that position. Why? Because she was black. So Lucy turns around and says to them, let me put it on the screen. Here's her Twitter. She says, I don't want an apology from the NRA. I want their organization to stop putting profits over public safety. We will keep fighting for common sense guns laws until our families are safe. Stand with me if you agree it's time we do something about it. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason I'm talking about gun violence is because gun violence affects so many people. It affects the poor, it affects the rich, it affects the young, and it affects the old. Gun violence, it's ridiculous what's happening in this country when we're talking about gun violence. And you saw what New Zealand has done when they had their mass shooting. They automatically banned assault rifles. You don't need an assault rifle. An assault rifle is used to kill something. You can't even have meat when you're using. So if anybody tells you, well, I'm going hunting with my assault rifle, they're never going to have any meat because it's going to tear to shreds of the meat. So it's a big problem. It is a huge problem. And I urge you guys to get real serious about common sense gun legislation, common sense gun laws. Everybody says, you're going to take my guns. You're going to take. Nobody's trying to take your gun, but you have to defend and say to us, why do you need a killing machine AR-15 assault rifle. Why do you need that killing machine in your possession? Why? Why do you need that? I get it. Why do you need a killing machine? Just, we need to understand in your logical terms, you having an AR-15, what the hell does that do for you in itself? Yes, it may be your safety so that you can have more firearms going at the perpetrator. But honestly, this is not Fallujah. This is not a war-torn country. This is a country of common sense gun laws. But somehow, unfortunately, we have made gun legislation and gun laws up here with your faith. So people feel as if I give up some form of control of my guns, then I'm giving up a portion of my faith. And that is idiotic. If you notice that the people who are defending guns, they're also defending God. Guns, God, and religion. Remember Obama said that in 2007 and he got in trouble, but it was the truth. That's what people are defending. All right, guys, let me go on my last and final subject of the night, and I will let you go. Let's talk about this. We always talking about immigration. We know about immigration. We hear about immigration. And every time you hear about immigration, the first thing you think about is Mexicans. It's the first thing you think about. That's all you think about is Mexicans. That's what the administration wants you to know, is that the immigration problem is Mexicans. The immigration problem. Well, I want to talk to you guys about a different form of immigration problem. No, it has nothing to do about people coming in here and taking your food stamps. No, it has nothing to do about individuals coming in here and hurting and like they say, raping young girls and raping. This is all the propaganda that is being fueled in your mind, that you guys are listening to this information and you have some form of bias towards Black and brown people or people who speak another language, and we want to look at them and say, well, they have the problem. I urge a lot of you guys to please travel outside of the United States and get a different perspective of education and understanding. The United States is not the only developed country. The United States is not the only country that controls. Yes, the United States has footprints all over the world, and so does Britain. But keep in mind, there are a lot of developed countries that don't need the United States at all. They don't have to be the superpower. They're just comfortable just helping their local citizens. But anyway, let me get back to my subject. So we have immigration. And you hear this all the time. You hear it all the time. Immigration. We need immigration reform. We do. I agree with that. But I would like to see immigration reform in a different perspective, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to see this, and I know you guys will agree with me when I tell you that this form of immigration reform is necessary to the development of children. And I believe that when we're talking about, and notice this conversation is being missed from the major network conversations, right? This conversation that I'm going to talk to you guys about, we don't have this conversation. We talk about it in our own little silos, but we don't have this conversation in reference to how important it is for us to have this type of immigration reform. Because, ladies and gentlemen, what we have right now is not working. And I'm not talking about people south of the border. What I am talking about is simply this. I'm going to show you the headlines. It says the United States, U.S., approved thousands of child bride requests over the past decade. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's correct. The United States has approved thousands of requests from child brides. I want you to just take that in, what I just said. All right, let's go back. The U.S. approved thousands of child bride requests over the past decade. Let's read this information. It says thousands, not singulars, not hundreds, thousands of requests by men to bring a child, an adolescent bride, to the U.S. were approved over the past decade, according to government data obtained by the Associated Press. In one case, ladies and gentlemen, a 49-year-old man applied for admission of a 15-year-old girl. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The approvals are legal. The Immigration and Nationality Act does not set a minimal age requirement. Y'all, did y'all hear what I just said? Oh my God, this shit is crazy. It says the Immigration Nationality Act does not set a minimal age requirement. Okay, let me keep reading. It says, and in weighing penalties for spouses and fiancés, U.S. citizenship and immigration services goes by whether the marriage is legal in the home country and then whether the marriage would be legal in the state where the petitioner lives. But the data raises questions about whether the immigration system may be enabling forced marriage and about how U.S. laws may be compounding the problem despite efforts to limit child and forced marriage. Marriage between adults and minors is not uncommon in the U.S., and the most states allow children to marry with restrictions. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get in and get out. There were more than 5,000 cases of adults petitioning on behalf of minors, and nearly 3,000 examples of minors seeking to bring in older spouses or fiancés, according to the data requested by the Senate Homeland Security Committee in 2017 and complied into this report. Some victims of forced marriage say to lure of a U.S. passport combined with lax U.S. marriage laws are partly fueling the petition. Okay, so let me bring this thing into perspective. You have the great country of the United States of America. They don't have a minimal age requirement, ladies and gentlemen. There's no minimal age requirement. Wouldn't you think that would be some type of immigration policy that we need to work on? That would be a great immigration policy where individuals cannot bring children from other countries to wed them. Why does a 49-year-old man need a 15-year-old girl? To my knowledge, I have no clue. But it is totally legal because it's legal in their country and it's legal in this country. And that is sick and it's sad, ladies and gentlemen. And it's something that we should be really talking about in reference to immigration reform is child brides. And I know you guys are watching this and you're probably saying to yourself, well, why is it that the major networks are not talking about this? Well, they're not talking about it because a lot of the people that they're probably going to talk about are probably complicit in this type of behavior. They're probably doing this type of behavior. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, the United States of America is approving thousands of requests of child brides, people coming in from other countries to come here. If that doesn't make your ass sick, I don't know what will. So to me, that would be an immigration policy that we should be looking at. Most importantly, instead of us trying to go down this rabbit hole and go down the propaganda, let's look at this particular situation and say to ourselves, why does a 49-year-old man need a 15-year-old girl? Why does an adult need to bring a child into America to wed them? I'm pissed. When I read this report, I was like, this is sick. This is something but how are you protecting children? You don't even give a F about, you give 0 Fs about children. Doesn't matter if your child is a part of this citizenship of America or not. You care nothing about children. You care nothing about children. But yet and still, these are the same people that will tell you that they will sleep with their guns, they will praise their God, but yet and still, they will bring in an adolescent to wed them and to put them into a forced marriage. That sounds like some crazy shit, if you ask me. That's all I got, y'all. Appreciate it. Again, if you're interested, please consider becoming a patron. I need your help. I need your support. Thank you guys so much. That's all I have. You got any questions, always hit me up, inbox, or just email, or whatever the case may be. God bless. Take care of yourself. Peace.